rears up out of the sea, towering 1,000 feet and more above the water. A coastline of solid granite, crowned with fog. The south coast of Newfoundland, sheer cliffs punctuated by deep fjords that wander many miles inland. It's a place of forbidding beauty. Round Counter West, one of the few places on this coast where the cliffs yielded enough land to build on. People came here to fish, but like so many other communities on this shore, Round Counter is only a memory now, abandoned and silent. Yet people still come here to fish in the deep, quiet waters of Round Counter Bay. They come in small boats, barely 30 feet long. They call them longliners, but they're hardly more than trap boats, decked out with a small house as a shelter from the damp chill of a South Coast winter. These inlets run deep, over 100 fathoms in some places. It's good fishing ground, and these boats come here in all seasons. It's a strange South Coast contradiction. The shoal grounds are 15 miles and more out to sea. The deeper water is here, in the quiet fjords. On a brooding February day such as this, most boats choose the protection of the coastal cliffs. Not that these fishermen shun bad weather. When many of them started out, they worked in open dories, in all kinds of weather. His small longliner might be modest, but Clyde Durnford will tell you it's a big improvement over the early days. You started off fishing in dories, did you?
Right.
How long ago was that?
Oh, 35 years ago.
When did everybody change over?
Oh, about 16, 17 years ago. We all got those small boats.
You find much of a difference now fishing out of a boat like this?
Oh, a lot of difference. You got no water bottle with you. Stop the windows, stop the doors, or let her come then.
Are there any dory fishermen left?
Oh, yes, a few. And what we call those are motorboats, eh? Not the gasoline dories like we used to have, but the motorboats you got now without putting motors on mostly.
You miss the days in the dory? The open dory?
Well, in one sense, but it was hard work. Now there's no hard work here. All I do is to work here. All you got to do is bait your trawl and do your fish. The rest of there's no hard work here.
I suppose now, this time of year, too, in the dead of winter, it was pretty uncomfortable in a dory.
Oh, I guess it was. When that frost was on there in January, well, these small boats were pretty uncomfortable. But like we fellas, we could lay in about 4. Something all together.
What's a good day's fishing for you fellas, huh?
Oh, you could get 1,500 pounds, 1,500, 1,000 pounds a good day's work. You know, if you was getting it 4 or 5 times a week. But you get 1,500, well, you would make a good week's pay.
You got a pretty long season here, don't you? You fish most of the year.
Yeah, right. We start now, I don't know what time we start this year, 20th of January, I suppose. We'll be at it the 20th of December if we can start our fish.
What's the best time of year for you fellas now? What?
Oh, mostly February, March, April. It's this month. Last year now, May and June were 2 good months. But way back, it used to be pretty poor though. May and June, I was 2 months. We started going to show water, eh? But last year, we were fishing in show water early. Well, then we got them, eh?
When the last of the trawl lines are hauled, the last of the fish gaffed aboard, the boats prepare to head for home. But home for these fishermen is a long way from Round Counter Bay. Though they've been fishing just a gunshot from the wharves, stages, and houses of Round Counter, Clyde and the other fishermen head back out the bay. They steam west, hugging the cliffs, for more than 8 miles. Then they head up another fjord, steeper and narrower than most. Just when it seems impossible there could be a settlement in this great corridor of stone, there it is, barely visible in the distance at the head of the bay, a cluster of houses dwarfed by the surrounding hills. Of all the places to settle, in this cavernous bay, carved by a glacier 1,000,000 years ago, the only land to build on was the boulders and rubble the glacier left behind. Yet here it sits, the town of Francois. With the enormous cliffs looming up on all sides, the houses of Francois could be a child's building blocks scattered around the harbor. Yet Francois clings to its place here with a strength that matches its awesome surroundings. Close to 250 people make their homes in Francois, preferring to concentrate on the sea rather than the granite fortress at their backs. In this wild, inhospitable place, where the land is rugged and unyielding, the sea must become the sole provider. For Francois, the fishery is survival. For such a small place, Francois has quite a few boats. About a dozen longliners, each with a crew of 2, and a handful of smaller one-man boats. Most days, if the weather's been half suitable, you'll find them lining up at the government wharf, unloading their catch. It could be 3,000 pounds. It might be a few hundred. It really doesn't matter. What does matter is that by going out every day, fishing long hours on the trawl, they keep themselves and their community going. It was this spirit, this determination, that allowed Francois to weather the tide of resettlement that swept away so many other places on this coast. Uncle Bob Skinner was one of those who resisted resettlement. A fisherman for more than 50 years, Uncle Bob still spends a few hours each day in the stage, baiting gear and, as he puts it, keeping in shape.
Well, I went fishing when I was 9-year-old as a boy with my father, but that was only just, summertime. And we was fish off around Dunbite, off around Mechlin.
I'm on St. Pierre way.
Yeah, St. Pierre, Mechlin. I wasn't only 16, my brother was 14.
I suppose those
We
were...
both went together, eh?
I said those were sailboats then, were they?
Oh, sailboats, yeah. We had engine in it. Sometimes he'd go and sometimes he wouldn't.
Couldn't rely on them.
Couldn't rely on it. Didn't know much about him, didn't he?
A lot of fish on the go then?
Oh, there was lots of fish summertime off there, but we had to spread them and salt them.
On board the boat?
Oh, yes, after 2 weeks sometime. Go off for 2 weeks, and then we come in and take that out for the wash out. Well, it was the first week, we fit the wash out, and others we packed back in the boat, in the stage.
You're not from Francois, are you?
From Richards Harbour.
Where's that?
The wife is from Francois.
Where's Richards Harbour?
13 miles below this.
Not there anymore, though.
Nobody there now.
What happened? They resettled it?
Resettlement took the works. Parsons Harbour, Round Counter West, Cul-de-sac East, Richards Harbour, Muddy O, and Mosquito. That's just around McCallum. But that was all, there were people lived there, Nobody there now.
But resettlement...
Took them out.
Why do you think that they never resettled Francois?
I don't know. They liked the place too good, I suppose. It was a very good place for make a living, and they had to go anywhere else. I suppose they'd have to do that same job.
Uh-huh. Looks like Francois is going to stay like it is?
I just see, well. I just say about like this. If the fishery don't go down, then I suppose you'll have our going St. John live on God.
Not everyone in Francois works on the fishing boats. There's another tradition here, born of the same isolation and dependence on the sea. The lighthouse on Francois Point, a mile and a quarter from the community. One of the few manned lighthouses left in Newfoundland. This light and a couple of others on this coast are run by 8 lightkeepers from Francois. Roland Durnford is one of those lightkeepers. He works the light on Penguin Islands, a remote spot 15 miles out to sea. Roland and another keeper spend 32 days at a time on that lonely cluster of rocks. Penguin Islands is also a good fishing spot for Francois fishermen, and Roland sometimes finds himself doubling as a weatherman.
Now, I know that a lot of the fishermen in Francois, they rely on you guys for the weather report sometimes.
Not really rely on us, but they do call us in the mornings when they come out, 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, they come out just before the weather forecast comes on. You can't get no forecast in the morning before 4:30, and that's one of the disadvantages of the forecast.
So when they call you, what do they ask you?
They ask how much wind we got, which way the wind is, if you know if there's any sea in the water. You're almost kind of scared to tell when the weather is the jackass, it's just a jackass day. You're afraid they're going to come, the wind is going to breeze up and they're going to get caught out or something, and probably that's going to be your fault. You don't want to take that chance, but generally everything turns out to be pretty near what you tell them.
But how is it as a job? I think people got an idea lighthouse keeping is a pretty lonely occupation.
It's a lonely occupation, though, but still it's a good job. I don't think I would trade my job right now for anything.
And you're saying you feel lucky that you have a job, I suppose?
Well, right now you're lucky to have a job, especially with not too much education, because people with college degrees can't get a job. So when you only got grade 8, 9, perhaps 10, and some less than that, you can get a job making a living wages, that you're lucky. So I count myself lucky.
A lightkeeper's job requires a certain philosophy, an acceptance of isolation. Maybe that's why Roland Durnford is able to take the difficulties of living in a remote place like Francois and put them into perspective.
I think people look at it, where would you go to better yourself? The way everything is going this day and age, that, in my opinion, I don't know where you would go. We get to our problems, but it all works out, and you get those problems everywhere.
Is it hard to get around in the wintertime?
The main road, what we call the main road, it's pretty good, but we must always take the side roads. The one that winds through between the houses.
It's sort of a mixture of rock and boards and everything, isn't it?
Yeah, that's about the size of it. You're living in a valley. You got the drainage from the hill, and you got to have bridges to go across the brooks. Some people say you want one leg longer than the other, but our legs is very well even. You don't need a car. Our boat serves our cars. If it wasn't, everywhere else got their cars, but we'll stick to our boats.
Beautiful scenery here, though.
To the visitors, this beautiful country, to us, it's just, we just say the hills, or the hills to climb. But to all the tourists that come here, they tell us it's beautiful scenery and talk about how nice it is around here, but I guess you got to be from somewhere else to appreciate what we got.
Baiting time in the community stage. While some Francois fishermen prefer the peace and quiet of their own stages, many more like to come here in the late afternoon to get ready for tomorrow's fishing. They cut frozen mackerel, bait their gear. They talk about fish, the tides, the weather, about who did well and who didn't. Even those whose fishing days are over like to lend a hand, maybe reliving some of their experiences on the fishing grounds. It's tedious work. 500 hooks to bait in every tub, each crew with 6 or more tubs. The jokes, the conversation, make the work and the time pass quickly. It's also a chance for future fishermen to get in some basic training. In a couple of hours, the trawl is ready, and the stage is closed up until early tomorrow morning. "5:30 in the morning, 8 miles east of Francois, in a place called Devil's Bay, the trawl goes out. We're aboard another of the Francois longliners, the River Queen, owned by Morgan Durnford. As dawn slowly creeps into the sky, the day promises to be a poor one. Fog, a cold, steady rain, and a freshening breeze. Looks like it was wise to stay close to shore rather than risk the outside grounds. As the daylight grows, the trawl is all out, and we wait an hour or so before taking back.
Do you usually pick up much fish here inside?
Oh yeah, you know, get a day's work, eh? You know, you get. We had 1,900 3 days in a row there last week where we got our gear to the day. Not saying I'm going to get 1,900 a day, but you might get a day's work out at this time.
Everybody here fishes trawl, eh?
Right, everybody fishes trawl all year round. No gillnets at all.
Why is that, I wonder? Because there's gillnets further down the shore, isn't there?
Oh yeah, there's gillnets down there, but well, there's better fish, and well, that's all everybody's used to, I guess, is trawl, you know. So everybody's pretty good at it, so that's all they use.
Just the trawl.
Oh yes.
How are you making out for bait with that mackerel? Is it any good?
Oh yeah, the mackerel's all right. There's mightn't be so good as a squid, but well, there's no squid to get, so we got to use mackerel, you know. But there's pretty good bait. Well, we had it all last year, and everybody done pretty good on it, so there's no complaint there, I don't think.
Okay, well, better go out now and check and see what fish you got.
Yeah, okay then.
Why don't you people use gillnets around here?
Well, you can't get a top quality fish out of a gilnet. I don't care who says you can, but you can't. There's no way. Fish is drowned in nets, they'll turn black and everything. If you don't know it for 2 or 3 days, you know it itself is not good fish. I didn't get on it spoils the ground for using trawl on it afterwards. I suppose there's fish getting in the nets, and sometimes a nice bit before you get your nets hauled or something other, and I suppose the fish rotting in that and lying on the bottom, I suppose it coats the ground over with dirt. Well, I wouldn't know where you would get a better fish than a trawl fish, hook in his mouth. I wouldn't know where you could get a better fish till it's live, most of them when you take them aboard boats. So it must be the top quality fish if there's any such thing as top quality.
What's the run of fish like out on the grounds?
Well, on trawl you get some big fish and well you get some small fish, but while they get on it, that seem like you're catching all the big fish because well you got to be pretty well large going fish, say 20 inches or 24 or 5 inches before you're even missing again on it. So I mean you're catching all the, you know, all the breeders out there.
So you figure trawling is definitely a better method?
Oh, guaranteed around here it is anyway. I think anybody didn't agree with that. Well, I wouldn't say that they'd agree with anything.
Do you normally get a mixed size, big fish and small fish?
Oh, around here on trawl you do all year round. You could all in one tub and get 2 or 3 or 400 pound probably biggest kind of fish, and you could next tub you might get half so much, but it could be as small as rats.
How big do they have to be to keep? You know, how small are the ones you throw away?
16 inches. Under 16 inches is no good.
So you put them back.
That's right.
In these small two-man longliners, how much gear do you use?
Well, you use some people use 8-line tubs, and some more use 9-line tubs. We average from 6 to 9 tubs.
So what would you say now is a good catch for one tub of gear?
Well, if you get 300 pound on a tub of gear, that you're doing good. You're pretty good going. That's if you could average that. But some tubs now you might get 500 or 600 pound on a tub, and then probably next one you won't get 100 pounds. But if you could average, say about 300 pound on a tub, it's pretty good going.
The fishing has always been good in Francois, but for the last couple of years, selling the fish has been a problem. Fishermen here traditionally sold to Ramia, 26 miles to the west. But that market was lost when Ramia closed down in the summer of 1982. For 5 months, no one in Francois fished. When they went back to their boats, they steamed 6 hours back and forth to McCallum, where a collector boat took their fish to Galtas. When Ramia reopened last year, the new owners didn't want fish from Francois anymore. Finally, last November, Dr. Chess Blackwood came on the scene. He owns a plant in Clarenville, and he offered to buy fish in Francois for 22.5 cents a pound. The fishermen agreed. So now, when they come in each day, they load their fish into gray insulated containers and ice it down. The fish then waits on the wharf until the coastal boat arrives to take it on the first leg of its journey to Clarenville.
How do the fishermen here feel now? Because they have to sell the fish all the way to Clarenville when there's plants up and down the south coast, just a few hours steam from here. How do the fishermen feel?
Well, the only way you can feel about that, if they don't give a damn about you, you don't give a damn about they. And if just Blackwood keeps taking the fish, it's just what sell they used to sell to Ramia, there's no difference.
Do you feel, or do the fishermen here feel that they've been kind of neglected because you're so out of the way down here?
Yeah, they have been neglected, but what can we do about it? We've been talking to the politicians about it and everything, but they is about saying about that as they is about everything else. All they'll do is listen and throw it in a wastebasket or pass it on through. I mean, there's no good talk to them anyway. They're not listening.
I mean, do you find it hard to make a go of it down here with all these problems selling fish, or are the fishermen just as content to keep on going and do the best they can?
Well, there's not a problem to make a living here, boy. Everybody here makes a good living. There's all young fishermen and everybody's interested into it, but, well, you got to have problems, because fishing is like any other job. If you're not on it, that you're not doing good. But, well, I suppose you got to put up with that, too.
I noticed that a lot of the fishermen here are young men like yourself. They obviously must think there's a future in the fishery and in Francois.
That's true. I really think they do myself, and, well, like you said, is most all young fishermen here, but it seemed like to me that the young fishermen was here is just saying to risk his old fellas. Without a doubt.
You'd never given a thought yourself to giving it up and maybe trying someplace else or something else?
No, I wouldn't know what else I was going to do, sir, to tell you the honest truth. I think I'd make a poor taxi driver.
The CN coastal boat Hopedale at the wharf in Francois. It's taking on 33 gray containers that dropped off here 3 days ago. Now they're full, over 43,000 pounds of fish caught off Francois, headed for Clarenville. Ahead lies a 14-hour boat ride of 140 miles, and then a truck ride of another 60 miles. It's absurd, with so many plants so near. The fishermen of Francois are the first to admit it. But that's not their concern. What matters to them is they have a market. They are selling their fish, and for a good price. That means the Francois fishery can continue. And as long as the fishery survives, so will Francois.